talking Bitcoin, take a break from the Swan trenches. What's up, fellas?
Oh, doing well. I'm about to put on a Swan pin on my shirt. It's from Pardis. Shout out to Pardis. BTC.
Yeah, man. BTC pins. Bam. They're beautiful. BTCpins.com. Reed, how you doing this week, man?
Doing really well. Yeah, really well. I've been on the phone a lot with a lot of customers, which has been actually really fun. More and more, getting on the phone, and it's just fun to talk to people and help walk them through their questions and confusions, and hear direct feedback from people. So,
what are people talking about this week, Reed?
A bunch of different things. a lot of questions about sort of how the sign-up process works. Also, sort of bigger questions about Bitcoin and wallets. But then, I guess just this morning, I got off the phone with somebody who just had decided to come over the edge and start stacking sats because he heard about Kraken getting a bank license. And so that was sort of the impetus where he'd heard about it since 2012, but sort of had written it off, and this legitimized it in his mind enough to have him start buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, September 16th, a couple of weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. 10 days ago.
It's kind of funny you say that, because I think it was 2 years ago or a year ago at Consensus, I was in New York and I was seeing my grandpa, and he was still not convinced about Bitcoin. He's still kind of on the fence. He's just too old to care. And although if you're old, you should care. And I was telling him that Goldman Sachs was sponsoring some events. He was like, "Oh, Goldman Sachs, maybe I should pay attention to this." So, as a means to getting adoption, we say be your own bank a lot, but and we most of us all believe that. But news like this is definitely bullish, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. So, Frank, the significance of Kraken Bank. Kraken is now is a Bitcoin exchange, which you probably heard of, and if not, it is one of the largest Bitcoin exchanges in the world, and it has received a bank charter in Wyoming. And Wyoming has been working on some laws for Bitcoin businesses and crypto businesses in general that are very friendly and kind of leading the way on that. So this is the first bank charter under these Wyoming laws and for a crypto exchange. And now they can provide banking services with fiat, traditional banking services as well as providing crypto services. So the significance is the crypto industry is merging with the traditional legacy banking system, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And sort of the one difference about the Wyoming bank charter is that it has to be full reserve banks. And so under most other banking legislation, in order to actually get a banking license, you can't be full reserve. You're obligated to be fractional reserve bank. And then under Wyoming law, it has to be full reserve. And so if you move money into a Wyoming bank, legally they cannot rehypothecate it in ways that other banks, if you choose to ultimately custody your Bitcoin with JP Morgan or something, they would likely and be able to rehypothecate your Bitcoin, which means lend it out multiple times to multiple people.
There was a great tweet from Jesse Powell about this. I think someone was asking him if they're going to do fractional, and he was just like, no. I needed to find it. It was a great response.
Nice. What do you guys think in general about fractional reserve banking? It's kind of a contentious topic. There are Bitcoiners who think it's good, necessary, at least to some extent, in order to have enough lending in the economy to support businesses. There are plenty of Bitcoiners who disagree with that. Where do you guys stand?
I'm on the team that it's a total fraud. That fractional reserve banking, essentially, as soon as you set it up, you are already defaulting on your obligations to your creditors. And so, for instance, if I have an item and I give it to Brady, I'm trusting that Brady will then give it back to me, and that if Brady then loans it out to one other person, that person should loan it back to Brady, who should then loan it back or give it back to me. And so that's not fractional reserve banking. That's just hypothecating. So I give something to Brady, Brady gives it something to to Brecky, and then Brecky back to Brady, Brady back to me. That is not
right.
modification. Re-modification would be I give it to Brady, and then he gives out a promise to 7 other people saying, yes, I have this thing for you. And as soon as he makes that promise, it's faulty, in my opinion. So I think that it only functions when you have a centralized institution like a government that can backstop it. But ethically, in my mind, it's bankrupt from the beginning.
I mean, I always like to ask the question, like, well, what if I tried to do it? What if Brady tried to do it? Reed, what if you tried to do it? Well, we'd go to jail for fraud. So why is it fraud for us, but not fraud for banks? You know, so that's kind of my litmus test. I don't think lending is a bad thing. I think lending is what enables some people to build. But lending based off of sound money is far more powerful in the end than lending based off whatever fake money we're using these days. So, yeah.
Oh. Brady, you're on mute. You've muted yourself.
Thank you. There was a train passing, so I had to mute. One of the things about fractional reserve banking, I think, is that it's basically money printing. Was what it comes down to, and it's if we have no fractional reserve banking, then we will be much more judicious about how we lend out our money, because there's really only one choice to make, instead of a bank having somebody's a loan based on somebody's house, for instance, the value of their house, and then rehypothecating and fractionally reserving that asset up to like $1 million worth, even if it's like a $200,000 house, giving out $1 million, $2 million. Beyond, I think there's banks that are fractionally reserved at they're leveraged like 10x, 20x. I think 20x is the law right now. Is that right?
I think it's technically it's like the base banks are at 7x, but then they can loan things out to sort of shadow banks or fintech companies, and they can leverage up. And so you end up having this like pyramid of leverage. So even if like JP Morgan is only at 7x, they are loaning out securities to people who then have no restrictions actually on their leverage. And so you can end up with 100x, 200x, 1,000x of leverage in the traditional system, which is not sustainable long term by any means, and it can only exist as the base credit expands and continues to expand. I don't think that you can outlaw fractional reserve banking per se. It's going to be a natural market phenomenon, but if you don't have an ever expanding credit base, it self-corrects very quickly.
Gents, real quick, there's a very, very important comment in the chat, so I'm going to throw it up right now. Bad as hat, Swan Force. Heck yeah. Right. If you want to get that, you can actually go to Tesla.com/Swan Bitcoin. I think we're required to take 5% profit, but eventually we're just going to donate all that back to Bitcoin. So the prices are pretty low, and the hat is awesome. Anyway, back to the important.
Hell yeah. What's up? Shout out Coinborg. What's up, man? Coinborg is on the sport team at Cash App. Here to hang out and talk Bitcoin.
Thank you for your work, Cash App.
Yeah. Appreciate Cash App. Reed is on the sport team at Swan, so he's your brother in support arms.
My account at Cash App was shut down with no notice, and I still can't use it. Actually, I can get in, but I'd probably have to open up a new bank account somewhere.
You gotta DM Coinborg.
Coinborg can take care of you, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all on Team Swan now, and we've got smash buys coming soon, hopefully. So do love Cash App, but gotta go Swan Force.
All right. Well, let's. You guys feel free to ask any questions you have, or shout out any topics you'd like us to get into. Otherwise, we'll kind of go through our list here. So price action, it's been, pretty tame. September, we had a high of 12.5 toward the end of July. It's been pretty tame since then. Dropped down to 9,800 at the start of September. Now we've been hovering around, this mid 10,000 range for quite a while. But apparently this is, historically a very tepid month for Bitcoin price, if not a rough month. So we're actually historically doing better in terms of, previous months, the 10 previous months of Bitcoin's life. So who knows what's going to happen next, man? People have been asking about, how can MicroStrategy buy 40,000 Bitcoin and not move the price much, right? And this is an interesting topic of conversation. Maybe we can get into that here as it's related to, this kind of flat price action.
So he said that he did 18,000 off-chain transactions, something crazy like that.
It was like 78,000 off-chain transactions. It was a lot.
Do you guys know what he meant by off-chain? Like, was he doing that on an exchange? Was he using just Strike and doing tons of Lightning transactions?
Yeah, like off-exchange OTC stuff, basically. Yeah. And then he settled it in 18 on-chain transactions. So he was talking, he had a tweet about this, and he was making the point that, buying Bitcoin as a reserve asset, as opposed to trading it, scales very well because he did 78,000 transactions off chain and 18 on chain. So, it can scale that way. So when you're ready to settle all of your transactions, you've accumulated the Bitcoin that you need, and they did this over, 6-8 week period, then you just settle it when you're ready to do the final settlement. In the meantime, you're trusting the OTC desk or whoever the liquidity provider is in that meantime with the Bitcoin. So yeah, that's a really interesting comment, and one that I hadn't really thought of, that it's scalable that far in that way.
Super scalable off chain for sure. I think in some of his interviews though, I want to sort of push back on the idea that if you just sort of do these off-chain transactions, you don't have to move the price. Like, he bought 40,000 or 40,000 Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin was either going to be sold to him or through another OTC desk to somebody else. And so even if you break it into small chunks, it should move the price. I personally just think he got lucky in sort of this mini little cycle we've been through, people selling off a little bit, traders sort of exiting positions. So I think it was almost more luck than anything in his timing that he didn't jack the price up.
It sounds to me, he's a tech guy. He's a very smart guy, works in technology. It sounds like they were doing everything algorithmically. They were literally waiting for the moments when they wouldn't move the markets. So I don't know. And I don't know that in the future, other companies will have the wherewithal to do that. You're saying no. What do you got?
Well, you're still just adding demand to the market. So maybe he was putting in limit orders below the existing price, and so putting some sort of bottom in. But all of the people who would have otherwise have bought Bitcoin, who would have bought more down at that price, that demand is still there. So that demand alone should have been enough to push the price up. So I don't think that algos, and the way that you buy Bitcoin necessarily can stop the price movement that a big order should trigger.
Fair. I was going to say though,
Rico Liberty just mentioned he could have bought it via miners. Absolutely, he could have bought it directly via miners. But
at least some of it, yeah.
Even if he did that, those miners who didn't had he not bought them, they would have sold that onto the market to somebody else. So I just don't think that the miner, the method that he bought it, I don't think will change the price or change what should happen to the price, personally.
Corey was talking in our Telegram chat last night, which is t.me/Swan Signal. Lots of good conversations that happen there. And Corey was talking about how there's an institution that is shorting Bitcoin to keep the price down right now to accumulate. They have a $1 to $2 billion stack, and they're playing this. It's kind of playing with fire, right? Because at some point, you don't the price is coiling and coiling and coiling, and you can play this game for a while, but at some point you lose control and it shoots up and you're liquidated. So it sounds like there's. I don't know how Corey knows this, but there are other Bitcoiners talking about this too. Bitcoin Teen is in there talking about it, and these guys are well connected. They hear things.
Yeah. I'm sure there could be major institutions shorting the price. But if you want to accumulate Bitcoin, It's not in your interest to short it. So I'll have to look more into it. But
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, but you can actually play that game. I mean, that's why I say it's difficult, because if you are making fiat on those trades, then you can use it to accumulate OTC Bitcoin behind the scenes without moving the price, right? Just like Michael Saylor did.
Now, if you do want to move the price, a great way to do that is to sign up for Swan Force and Bitcoiners and help us create this massive Swan Bitcoin buy pressure. All right, folks?
Yeah. Every month, our buy pressure is stronger and stronger. So we're eventually just going to liquidate all the shorts. Effectively Swan alone. You give us enough time and we'll liquidate all the shorts.
We have a special guest about to join us. None other than the man himself. Although he's showing us his desktop for some reason.
That's me. Oh yeah, here's an image of shorts trying to short Bitcoin. Blam. Trying to keep Bitcoin underwater doesn't work.
I like it. Look at this chat here. Here's the surprise I mentioned. There he is. The man.
Oh, yeah.
Legend.
Got a 2x2. I like this 4-up. Nice.
Yeah, that's good.
It's good stuff.
Give Reed a little head massage.
And we're all repping some part of Bitcoin. We got Jan's free book. We got Corey's got the Bitcoin logo. Brady's got the Swan logo, and Brecky's got Yoda.
There you go.
Our resident guru.
Bitcoin, I realized, kind of just took over for the Sonics for me, because the Sonics ended in 2008 and Bitcoin took right over. So it was really that missing thing in my life that I needed to talk about every single day and spend my evenings watching. Yeah. What you guys been talking about?
Actually, good timing. We were just talking about this conversation you were having in Telegram last night about shorting Bitcoin, trying to suppress price, playing that game. And you can explain it much better than me trying to summarize your chat.
Yeah. So let me preface it by saying this is not something nefarious that anybody's doing to try to keep Bitcoin down. I don't think the CIA and the MI6 is behind it, trying to funnel money through hedge funds and artificially suppress the price. It's not what basically the big bulge bracket banks in the UK and the US were doing to gold over the last decade. Essentially, is what I'm saying. And part of that is you just don't need that much capital to essentially put a ceiling over the price of Bitcoin for quite a while and just play in a range. And this happens in stocks, this happens in bonds, this happens in all kinds of different assets where a fund will essentially sell insurance. You can think about it as selling insurance. You could also be selling hopium to Bitcoin buyers that want to buy way out of the market calls. So these guys have sold a ton of out of the market calls, above 12K, above 13K, above 14K, whatever. And they're just collecting those premiums. And what they want to do is keep the Bitcoin price range bound as long as possible so they can, essentially stack those chips and keep making those premiums as long as possible. And the reason that they really want to keep it in that range of, sub 12K, and then I think you'll have another battle, basically at 13.8 or 14K and trying not to let Bitcoin above that price for as long as possible, is as long as they can keep that price range bound, they can keep on making that money. Once it goes above 14K, there's so little volume that's historically traded above 14K. And really, it's pretty much true of anything above 12K, that it'll be a much shorter duration, I think, between 12 and 14. You just have no idea what's going to happen. So the volatility to the upside can just be so dramatic that the risk reward of selling calls once the price is actually above 12K consistently or above 14K consistently would just break all your risk models. You have no way to model that. So essentially, when they see the price going, 12K, 12.5, whatever, they can just smash, sell basically and just go leveraged short And one of the other things that's unique to the Bitcoin market is the exchanges are global and are not connected. So there's something called, in stocks, there's something called national best bid offer. So basically there's a lot more cross-exchange connectivity, plus all the activity is pretty much aggregated on just NASDAQ for all tickers and NYSE for all the ones that are on NYSE. So it's not split across all these different exchanges. There's a lot more friction in Bitcoin. So basically you can smash the price down on one exchange, and the algorithms that traders are running on all the other exchanges will pick that up and will essentially just kind of go along with it and maybe even accelerate it. So you might, if you're this NYFIG or whatever they're called, the $1 or $2 billion pile of cash that's, essentially driving this and putting this cap over the market, advised by Ben Losky, as you can imagine, they probably don't need to be responsible for driving all that much momentum. Like, so if they can just smash sell and, drop it from like 12.5 to 11.9 or 12.5 to 12.3 or whatever, it's very likely that other people's algorithms on other exchanges or on whatever exchange they're doing it on will just, continue that motion. And that's why you see these big down candles over the last few months. And it feels like we take like 3-4 weeks to get back up to the level we were, and they smash it down again. And again, this is just a money-making strategy. This is capitalism. This is Bitcoin. And, really all it's doing, in my view, is making it coil, putting the sats in stronger hands, the people that aren't going to sell. And essentially the end game for this is, if they're smart, what they'll see is they'll be watching all the data that they can get from Coinmetrics and, whoever hedge fund friends they have, or their own analysis, whatever, Willy Woo and all the on-chain stuff. And, they'll be looking at all that. And at some point they'll kind of make a decision that like, okay, it's probably going to break this time and we're going to get caught way off sides. And, and they'll get out and they'll go long, and it'll just be like moon juice on top of moon juice and just make it explode up because it's been artificially held low for so long. That's usually what happens. And, if you look at, bank trading desks in the subprime crisis, like back in 07, 08, some of them were still long mortgages during the crash, and some were not. Some were looking at the signals, and some were paying attention, and some had enough intelligence and enough know-how to get out of their positions and be net short when everything crashed. So, among those was Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs was net short when the subprime mortgage crisis started to, unfold in early 07, and they made money on the way up and on the way down. So that's what I assume is probably going to happen with this group. So I, have a lot of people that are like, oh, you're going to get wrecked if you sell calls. And that's probably true for me and anyone else that's like a retail trader that's trying to figure this stuff out. But it's also silly to think that a really sophisticated hedge fund, I mean, you've got Goldman with a trading desk, you've got SAC with a trading desk, you've got, this group, NYFIG, you've got all kinds of groups like, CMS Holdings and, all these traders, they're not stupid. They're just not. They're probably going to make money on the way down when it's range bound, and when it's on the way up, they'll just get long like everybody else. So that's my view. That's the story with Corey.
Nice.
I think we got to. This is a great title for this segment, Corey. Every time you come back, time for the story, Corey.
We can do the S2F model next time I'm on.
I don't know. I mean, people might want to.
So
I'm going to write the article first. Brady's going to make me write something.
Fair.
Yeah. Then we'll talk about it. It deserves a bigger audience than this.
So Corey, that was a really beautiful description of sort of a big macro play that's going on now. I sort of saw in the chat one person asking essentially like, can you figure out when it breaks? And is there any way, like, is there any sort of time frame of like, it could last a few weeks, it could last a few months, it could last 2 years,
I mean, I have no idea personally, but I'm 1x long Bitcoin. I'm not leveraged, and I don't buy calls and I don't sell them.
Yeah.
So I don't really care. So with no skin in the game, since I'm not actually a participant in that part of the market, the active trading market, you shouldn't trust anything that I say. But, the signals that I see from, people talking about the mining market and people talking about on-chain metrics and kind of just looking at everything that's going on. And like, you can just kind of feel it in just the way that people are getting turned on one by one, including lots of people with lots of money. I just, and you got at least a couple data points of previous cycles. And I don't think we're done with the meme of cycles. And I think there actually is some real economic mechanics behind the cycle with miners and an effect on price with halvings. There is actually something real that happens there. It's not just meme driven in my view. So yeah, I think they'll give up sometime in Q4 or Q1 and we'll blast through 12 and 14. And then I don't know how fast it goes after that. Cause again, there's no one rational that would do this strategy above 14K. Because there are no historical, like horizontal, large volumes traded at any price above 13.8. It's never happened before. So you just don't have anything to look at. You don't have any Fibonacci lines to look at that you think a lot of other people's, because this is what happens, right? So a lot of people, I wouldn't laugh because like a lot of people actually trade on technicals. And so what you can do is you can like look at, golden crosses and like volume weighted average prices at different levels. And you can look at, moving averages and whether you hit it or just ticked up through it and came back under the weekly or the monthly or whatever it is. All of those price histories where if you say, okay, I just sold a bunch of calls at 12.7. I don't want the price to go through 12.5. So I'm going to just go short, leverage short at 12.5 and try to drive it down to 12.3 really quick so that some other people's algorithms will pick up that, it should be going down further. And, we got too close to the, whatever Fibonacci line or whatever it is. So they'll kind of paint a picture in the charts that they know that a lot of other people's algorithms and a lot of other people's technical analysis will pick up on and will follow the trend that you set. Mm-hmm. It's way more sophisticated. This shit wasn't happening 4 years ago. There are way more sophisticated players in the market now that are actually doing this kind of stuff. They can't count on any of that above 14K. It's going to be like, 2015 or 2016 all over again. You have no fucking idea what's going to happen.
TA is kind of an interesting thing in the Bitcoin crypto world because like you go to the traditional markets and like it doesn't work. You can't use TA, but like it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy here because the markets are so thin, even across the board, that like, and enough people are using TA that you can almost rely on things to kind of go that way in some senses. So yeah, I don't know. I don't trade. I don't advocate for trading.
I mean,
it's interesting.
Yeah, once you get above 14K, like literally the only rational place is to draw lines in the sand and try to create range-bound trading opportunities around numbers. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like nothing else makes sense. That's the Schelling point basically for TA is literally horizontal. Okay, well let's try to stop this and stay range bound below 20K. Shit, that didn't work. Let's try to keep it under 25K and trade this range bound for a little while. There's nothing, they don't have a leg to stand on. There's no historical price volume there. Anyway, what else? I came here to talk. I thought this was like the meme show. Like I want to talk about memes and stuff.
Sketch of trading we've ever had on a Swan Eagle show, or even a Swan Signal meet or a Swan Bitcoin meeting.
Yeah, the anti-trader knows too much about trading.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we did have some. Looks like Brady's got some memes he wants.
Here's the meme for you.
Good, that's what I want to see.
From that story.
I love it. This is one of my favorites. So
there's a story behind this one, right?
There is. Do you know it?
I saw you mentioned last night, and I went and found the original tweet. But
nice.
You and Bitcoin Tina, right?
Well, Bitcoin Tina DM'd that to me, and it's like it's a beach ball or volleyball or something that the guy's got in his hand, and he was like, "Can you like get somebody to turn that into a Bitcoin?" And so I just put it out, request for meme. This is long before Swan, long before Arsenal, and long before we actually knew all the meme people. I just put it on Twitter and said, "Hey, can somebody make a meme out of this?" And Happy Showmore responded. And originally the ball went like way up and then came way back down. And so I was like, "Can you chop off the end of it where it comes back down and just have it go straight to the moon and then loop it?" So it was a Bitcoin Tina concept executed brilliantly by Happy Showmore, and now spread widely.
Do you guys know my history with Happy Shillmore?
No, can't wait.
Cool little story. So I got to know him on Instagram, where his account is called Crypto Humor. And it's basically a Trojan horse to get people into Bitcoin. It's like crypto, but really all his memes are about Bitcoin and shit coins. And this was back when I was like deep into shit coins, and he sends me a DM. He's like kind of concerned. He's like, "Hey man, like I see what you're doing. You seem like a smart guy, but like I think you really, really need to spend the time and learn about Bitcoin and like stop messing around with these like scammy alts and stuff." And it hit home, and I did. And he was one of the people that pushed me over the edge to really start learning about Bitcoin. So shout out to Happy Shillmore. He's a good dude.
Awesome. Crypto Brecky, thank you so much for that story.
Let's come clean, Brecky. How'd you get the name?
The name started originally in the run-up in 2017 when my roommate, every morning, crypto was going crazy, and I would shoot him a message and be like, "Hey, crypto, breakfast, let's, talk about crypto over breakfast." And I was really upset with all the scammers in the space. So I started lampooning them on Instagram. And the name I came up with for myself was Crypto Breakfast, which eventually became Crypto Brecky, because the guy who had Crypto Breakfast on Twitter wouldn't give it to me. He wanted a whole Bitcoin. And then as I became a maximalist, thanks to people like Happy Shillmore and Tales from the Crypt, I changed to Brecky von Bitcoin, because I used to do a fake German accent the whole time to protect my identity, and because it was funny.
Now he's done permanently.
Yes, thankfully.
Does anybody want to take a little pass on why a lot of Bitcoiners don't like the word crypto?
I mean, yeah, to me it's simple, and I think there's to hold against that. I know Guy Swan does. He gets a little fired up around this because, of course, he had the Crypto Economy podcast, and he came in 2011, 2012, something like that, really early. Like I think late 2011 is when he came in. And so back then it was crypto. Crypto meant Bitcoin, right? And the crypto economy meant this Bitcoin economy, because Bitcoin was based on cryptography. And now it came to pass that all these altcoins came out. This idea of the crypto industry, which encompassed Bitcoin, but all of these other altcoins, was starting to be co-opted. Basically, that word crypto became co-opted and started to mean altcoins. So we lost that one. I don't know if we'll be able to wrest it back eventually. We do. Bitcoiners are very adept at turning crypto memes on their heads and taking them and wearing them with pride. So maybe we'll take that back again in the future at some point.
I've noticed one trend, though, that it just annoys me, is that a lot of people on the other side of things have started taking Bitcoin memes because they're so good and trying to use them on their side, but it's just really cringy. And I know sometimes, like, when Bitcoiners say, "If you understand this," it's very cringy, but like it's even more cringy when someone in DeFi is like, "If you understand this." Okay.
Do you expect them not to try to steal your memes too? The whole point is they're a copy.
Exactly. So, let them try.
Yeah, Wi-Fi does not fix this. Oh man, I just put a tweet in the YouTube chat. Can you display that?
Yeah.
YouTube chat.
I don't know if you can grab that.
I'm not seeing it. Let me hop over to YouTube. You could also screen share.
That sounds really hard. I'm just not the producer here. Here, I'll put it in our live comms channel. How about that? You can grab it from there. There you go. Yeah, grab that one and show that. That's my take. Anyway.
Brady, can you throw that up since you already have the other screen going?
You betcha.
Gracias. Let me know when.
Oh, you'll know.
Say again?
You'll know.
Oh, I'll know.
I got to pick out the right window here.
Got some nice comments.
So Peter is saying, Raul said he has 10% into it's actually 20%. So 20% of his crypto industry holdings are Ethereum.
Yeah.
Since he's 60% long, that's like 12% of his assets.
Basically, it's a lot. It's a lot more than I'd feel comfortable putting into something that needs to thread like, I don't know, at least 5 needles just to exist.
All right, I've got this tweet looks ready. I'm going to put it up on the board. Here we go.
All right, there we go. All right, I'll read my own tweet. They're navel gazing. Bitcoin is an asset class of its own. You sound silly including it in a faux industry called crypto. You sound even worse when you try to slip in crypto as a synonym for Bitcoin. It's like screaming in public, "I'm a charlatan."
That would be pretty funny.
Someday I'll tell you what I really think.
So you remember when this is when Jack, 2018, right? Like spring of 2018, that day that Jack came out and just held court as a Bitcoin maximalist and was like just shunning all of these altcoins that were trying to get some attention from Jack. And in that tweet, he called it Bitcoin Twitter. And at that point, everyone called it crypto Twitter, right? And even Bitcoiners, I think, were kind of calling it crypto Twitter, at least at least some. But after Jack tweeted that he loves Bitcoin Twitter, it was just it was on, and it didn't look back from that. Now that was good stuff.
And Bitcoin Twitter was like my entrance into Bitcoin, really. Like Brecky's, seems like you had Happy Showmore guide you in. Bitcoin Twitter was my education.
That's where it all happens, man. Speaking of Jack, here's a piece of news from just yesterday. He spoke at the Oslo Freedom Forum. It's run by our friend Alex Gladstein. So you all know or may not remember. I don't know. This is news from last year, I think. But Jack has started and sponsored this nonprofit called Blue Sky, and they are charged with creating a decentralized platform for social networks. And he has stated that the aim is for Twitter to become a client on top of this decentralized social media network, which is really cool. Big credit to Jack for being willing to disrupt his centralized model. I think that's of a true leader and understanding innovation and where everything's moving. Also just the ethics of allowing decentralizing our social media, and just attempting, I think is great. So he was at the Oslo Freedom Forum yesterday, and he was talking about how, in fact, maybe we can just put this up on the screen, Brecky. Am I still screen sharing? Hold on one sec.
No worries.
Here we go. So yeah, just some quotes from it, I think. So he's saying that blockchain technology is the future of Twitter, and using blockchains to create immutable content, which is really interesting. I, for one, am very I'm skeptical, of course, like all Bitcoiners are, when you hear an application for blockchain that's not money. So I'm definitely want to see the details coming out, but I still like the idea behind this, the effort. And we know that, Jack is a Bitcoiner. So, if this happens, I hope that, this will involve the Bitcoin blockchain in some way, shape, or form.
Hey, guys, Brady, you look frozen to me. Is everyone seeing Brady okay?
He's moving around for me. He's moving around on YouTube. I think we're good.
Cool. Oh, did we lose his voice now?
No, he also no, I just wasn't talking. he also says
such a rarity.
He appreciates the difference between anonymity and pseudonymity, and that he wants to protect that, which I also appreciate. So there's, and I don't know what you guys think. I mean, what's your take on anonymity versus pseudonymity? I think there's risks, obviously, a risk kind of vector to both of those approaches to trying to protect your real world identity. Have you guys thought much about that?
It's tough because there are some things that anonymity does or gives people that I don't think are good things. If you can hide behind your keyboard, you can say some really terrible things. But on the flip side of that, the ability to be anonymous, to be private, it's the basis of our liberty, I think, here in the United States or in general. The ability to dissent privately without being linked to your identity is crucial to having a free and open world. So I think that the benefits 100% outweigh any of the downsides.
Interesting. You said to be able to dissent privately. It's also important to be able to dissent publicly, anonymously, right? I mean, that's the counterweight. Like if the government and centralizing powers have all of these tools of AI and surveillance at their disposal, really, public key cryptography and strong encryption is basically the only, and basically what you can do with privacy coming out of that is really the only tool that we have. This is all kind of like straight out of Sovereign Individual. But it's just 100% true. I mean, without that, it's a dark, scary, mid 20th century sci-fi novel type of future.
It's not a bright orange future, that's for sure.
It is not a bright orange future. So, yeah, I mean, I obviously for all you guys know, I run a bunch of Bitcoin Twitter accounts. That's what's great about it.
Care to dox? I don't dox.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Corey. Corey,
turns out all of Corey's engagement on Twitter is just him talking to him.
Just talking to himself. I'm pretty bad at it. I have actually one that I use for when people block me and I still want to see what they say on occasion. And the only activity from that account is it's like chiming in on threads related to Swan or Corey. It's I'm so bad at maintaining it. I need to just create a bot that tweets about Taylor Swift or something like that, and then also chime in on other things. I'm really bad at it. If anybody ever wanted to figure it out.
Yeah, it's just the time thing. I made one time, and just taking the time to try to maintain a second Twitter account is just
a split
not possible.
A much more fiery citizen Bitcoin.
I really did it for fun. Yeah. But it turns out I'm pretty damn fiery in my own account.
A parody account of themselves, so you could do citizen shitcoin, and it would just be I don't know what it would be. It would be funny.
Yeah, I just need somebody else to do that because I won't have time for that.
So if you're in the chat and you're looking to make an Anon account, Citizen
Shitcoin. So I was thinking we should close up with Corey wanted a meme show. We've got a meme contest going right now. We could screen share and go through some of these things. I haven't been through it, so I don't know.
Are these GigaChad memes?
Yeah, GigaChad memes.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I need that in my life right now.
Yeah, let's throw this up and then put us down in the corner.
Yeah. Good call. We can do that. Okay.
There we go. All right, so we're running this. Brecky, you introduced this. This is your show here.
We can do that. So we had the idea to do a little Michael Saylor meme contest, and the results so far, even though we've got some time, are wonderful. They're glorious. Michael Saylor, if you have been living under a rock, for his company MicroStrategy bought $425 million worth of Bitcoin or something like that so far, and straight out of the gate, he is a Bitcoin meme making machine. I think every time he says something about Bitcoin, it's just shit, new meme. Where this guy came from, it's pretty amazing. So, Brady, I think you gotta show him.
Yeah. You ready to scroll?
Yeah. Oh, and anyone watching at home, this is a meme contest. The prize is a million sats, and
Blam.
We'll be running this until October 13th when Michael comes on Swan Signal Live. And if you're not subscribed to Swan Signal Live and you don't have reminders set, you should go do that. I do that, even though I'm behind the scenes. That's how much I love Swan Signal Live. All right, themes.
Here we go. All right, so this is the original, right?
RDBTC did one of the earlier Hornet memes, yeah.
All right, here we go. Come at me, bro.
based on that famous tweet he had about Bitcoin being what was it? The goddess of wisdom and like a hive of hornets.
Oh yeah, hive of hornets. Sacrificing to the goddess of wisdom.
Can we just get it right? I mean, it's his pen tweet. I think it's probably his profile at this point.
It's a
okay. All right. Bitcoin is a swarm of cyber hornets serving the goddess of wisdom, feeding on the fire of truth, exponentially growing ever smarter, faster, and stronger behind a wall of encrypted energy.
Oh man. Serving the goddess of wisdom.
Or you can read like Paul Tudor Jones's like 8-page thesis on Bitcoin for macro investors. Like whatever. Just whatever.
Just put in maybe 1% or no, put in 95% of your treasury.
Brady, can you put up the one from I think it's Guy Bennett about it's the Sparta meme? It's so good.
We'll go through them here. All right, so that one's been up. Let's see. Acquisitions have acquired 37,000 Bitcoin.
Oh, I like this one.
Shout out Hodl. We love you. You're hilarious.
Sovereign Hodl.
The meme is amazing.
Folks at home,
can you describe what's going on in that meme though? Go back. I want to see the podium meme is actually worth describing. All right. Go ahead, Brecky, you got it.
In the top left-hand corner, we have Sovereign Hodl stacking sats, getting what looks like a gold medal for all his sat stacking. What a legend. Fights to make sure it's a real medal. Kisses his lady. Takes the campaign. And then we pull back and we reveal that he actually got third place. Pat Saylor and Paul Tudor Jones. But you know what? Every stat stacker is a winner in our book, so that's why I love this meme.
Oh my God. I would actually pay like $10 extra per game to have Brecky call the NBA playoffs instead of the normal soundtrack.
Oh man, I watched the game last night live on Twitter, and had four people just commenting besides like the normal NBA people. It was so much better. So much better. It was fun. I'm going to watch every game like that now.
Oh, that's a good idea. Send me that handle if they do it a lot.
Yeah.
This one's cool. I'm glad someone did a Sailor Moon thing. I'm about that. It's not really.
I'm not a big anime person, dude. Who is this, Brick?
Sailor Moon. Michael Saylor, Sailor Moon. I don't really get if there's a meme or a purpose to this other than just to be funny, but that's okay.
Yeah, man.
That's a mighty big open dime, guys.
Strategically placed open dime.
I like this. I like the stacks. Oh.
That's from Pub. Who's that from? I just call these out. BTC Next Generation. Big Money Bitcoin. Homer Slice. All right.
Wait, there's my favorite.
Pub Lord.
Well, not my favorite, but one of my favorites. I'd be afraid to risk $425 million on Bitcoin, Michael Saylor. That's why no one will remember your name.
Had one of my trader friends arguing with me about Saylor this morning and how big macro hedge fund types don't care what he has to say. They like the Paul Tudor Jones announcement means a lot more. And that's true at like the institutional level, and I get that, and that's probably true for traders, especially people that are like trying to sell the trade to clients. But I feel like the willingness of Saylor to come and engage with the community and do all the podcasts and lay out a very spot on, correct thesis for his investment. That's not just about like fastest horse. It actually gets into the technology and the nature of the network and all of that. It's just so much more powerful for retail investors. I think he's it's a way better champion for Bitcoin than we've had in a long time. I think that's what's really exciting right now.
Connor Brown tweeted, "He's the hero we deserve."
Hey, I tweeted that also. Freaking.
Oh well, I saw it on Connor's feed first.
Well, I am going to take that and tweet it and not attribute it or hat tip at all. Just kidding. I don't do that.
You would, Corey.
I would absolutely not do that. I don't have a podcast.
Oh, burn. RDBTC, our buddy, killing it on the at the Swan Arsenal, the Bitcoin Arsenal.
Getting better and better.
Oh, I haven't seen this one. Is that supposed to be like some kind of cyber hornet with his face?
Yeah,
it's a cyber hornet that's like it's got electricity flowing through it.
Shit, that's a good one.
It's a
It
good
reminds
one.
me of Metroid.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. That was a great game.
Wait, what's this one? I have Michael Cohen, Queen, do your best. Losers always whine about doing their best. Michael Saylor goes home and fucks the prom queen.
Is that the Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, we basically need just all Michael Bay memes in Bitcoin. He's such a bullish.
Pierre tagging in Michael Saylor to take down the finance journalists. It's pretty good.
Love that one. Oh, the poor
that one's supposed to turn.
Likes using money. Answers to weak hands. Wait, I can't see the caption. Let me get rid of that.
Last seen selling BTC.
Likes making profit. Answers to balls of steel. Last seen buying 38,250 Bitcoin.
All right. So many good.
Okay, I think that's enough. Oh, that last one. Sorry, the Bitcoin Twitter. That one's pretty solid. I do like that one.
Which one?
Just that Bitcoin Twitter is turning away from Dave Portnoy, and
yeah,
the kissing one below that.
There.
Pretty good too.
Oh, here's one that Reed likes.
That doesn't count.
Okay. That's not a roll.
Qualified.
80% of, to be clear, that's 80% of his crypto assets are in Bitcoin, which is a wildly conservative allocation in my view.
Right.
That's Raul, by the way, not Giga Chad. Giga Chad knows better.
Here's another Portnoy.
Reviews pieces.
That's good. That's good. Who did that one?
That one was Saylor versus Portnoy.
Yeah. This is a new account I started following.
What's the handle?
Saylor
at LPres BTC. I think they rebranded it.
Yeah, nice. Oh yeah, that's one of my Anon accounts. That's right.
Nice work. Nice work. I mean, we've got so many submissions on here, dude.
This is awesome, dude. Brecky, that was a good idea. Good job.
Thank you for approving. What's that? He bought? Yes. The chat, are any of you new? Do you guys remember the what are those stupid twins' names again?
I don't remember.
Bogdanov. Yeah. Where are they? How are they off scamming someone?
What are they? I don't understand what they are.
They were like reality TV stars, I think, in Europe. Both like they're twins who are like both addicted to plastic surgery, which is hence why they look the way they look. And they were involved in crypto in the earlier days, and then became a meme about like market manipulation. Some great videos on that out there.
Got it. Okay, I didn't realize they actually had a role in crypto at some point.
I think their role was mostly being the meme, but I could be wrong.
Okay, fair enough. They're French celebrities known for a science fiction television series and lots of plastic surgery.
What a thing.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, I'm impressed. There's like literally, there's got to be over 100 of these in here.
Yeah. It's only been like 2 days. It's so good.
All right. Well, and this will be a good thread for posterity too. Like this is going to go into the Bitcoin documentaries at some point, right?
And when you bring them on, you need to announce, Brady. When you bring them on, you need to announce the winner.
Yeah. We will.
So it's a good point. So okay,
runner-up prize for
guys. 200 years from now, when we've colonized the solar system and a few others, right? and they're actually like, there's so many people that someone actually has time, because there's just so many people, and somebody like develops a weird fascination with swan signal shows. So there actually is somebody that's like 21 and, you know, is trying to like get through high school, because high school is extended in those years. I don't know, whatever. And they're watching this video. What do you have to say for posterity? Because this shit's like, I mean, Google's going to be this megacorp, multi-galactic too. They're going to still have servers that store this shit on YouTube. So what do you have to say to people 200 years from now about like this moment in time with Bitcoin just before the explosion? Reed, go.
I would say 200 years from now, it's still early. Tell them
Any sat less than $1 trillion USD. This is a cheap sat.
Exactly.
I'm going to give a message to myself, because I'm going to freeze myself and I'll still be around. Great job stacking those sats on Swan Bitcoin, Brecky. You should have stacked more, but you know it's still early, so you're good.
To my heirs, you're welcome. And to everyone else, I bought Bitcoin on Coinbase. I'm going to just admit it. I'm sorry, and I just want it on the record, just to purge my soul a little bit.
That's where I started, you know. But look where it's all about where you are now. It's all not where you were, where you are, and where you're going.
Well, I'll just say that to all you future Bitcoiners, real fruits and vegetables and meat and the shit we had back in the 20th and 21st century tasted so good. Your nasty ass gruel and pills and IV drips and all this shit you're feeding yourselves with in the interplanetary nether reaches. That shit is disgusting, and the flavors are fake. Nothing like the real thing. Nothing like the real thing. That shit is gross. They're fooling you.
Get yourself back to Earth, and in one of the citadels, and you can have some real beef.
Yeah, but you can't even set foot on this planet anymore. Like, basically, it's just the heirs of the four of us and a few other friends like Giga Chad and American Huddle and Dieter Bob and a few others. Jack, you know, that's basically who owns Earth at this point. There's no room for you.
I will be living in or my heirs, I guess, will be living in Giga Chadia in 200 years.
That's it. Actually, I wonder when all the shitcoiners are just going to get essentially pushed out to Mars. You know?
That's a good question. Do the Bitcoiners leave Earth, or do the Bitcoiners get to stay? And Mars is like a penal, like not the. It's a penal colony in the member sense, not the incarceration sense. They just send them all off Earth.
Oh God.
You would think that we were like 4 whiskeys deep, but this is actually live and it's still morning Pacific time.
This is what the second hour. This is what the second hour of our marketing calls looks like.
Pretty much. So Fridays at Swan. All right. I'm not cracking the whip, Brady. This is your meeting, so I don't have an agenda.
I know, Corey. If you don't have an agenda, Corey just takes it wherever, and his brain is taking tangents every moment of the day into different rabbit holes, and he just has a billion ideas a day. So yeah, our job is basically to like figure out the ones that we want to pursue, and then Corey doubles down.
Part of the Swan interview process is actually whether you can catch a baseball or not. And if you catch the baseball, Corey says, "Great, now you can catch my ideas. Go long." Go long.
That never happened. Never happened. Oh man, yeah, we have no interview process. I think you just audition on Twitter, basically.
Yeah, you build your resume on Twitter.
Yeah,
and, yeah, that's it. Write a newsletter, make a podcast, write some blog posts, make some memes. These are all your resume. And like I've said this several times, but it bears repeating. We're witnessing the birth of the Bitcoin industry, the Bitcoin only industry. And, people are going to want to hire Bitcoiners. All right. Like that's our first, the first hurdle you got to get over is you got to be a Bitcoiner. And so that's your resume. Just keep filing or keep building that resume in the next few years. There will be people hiring.
So I'll even take that a step further, and I'll say we see people tweeting about this and talking about this on Telegram so often that it's actually kind of difficult to talk to normies, and that it just how much easier it is when you share a set of assumptions and just sort of like a view of the world that includes Bitcoin. And so I actually expect a lot more companies to be started by Bitcoiners that have nothing to do with Bitcoin, just because they meet each other through this, through this topic and these communities and this industry, and then, have other ideas to do this, that, or other thing. Like, it's already starting to happen quite a lot. People are starting, clothing companies or, hardware companies. And a lot of that stuff is kind of like Bitcoin or Bitcoin centric or Bitcoin tangential, but it only makes sense that Bitcoiners would see the risk reward of a real estate development and a strategy behind going into real estate development similarly, because they have the same expectations for their base currency, and they're living on the Bitcoin standard, so their models will be different. You can't even actually plan anything with partners anymore if you're a Bitcoiner and they don't understand how you see the world. How would you make business decisions? So more and more, it's going to be like a massive negative for you in business, because you'll have adverse selection for people you want to do business with, because if you don't understand Bitcoin, the smartest people who actually understand reality they're not going to be able to do business with you.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand.
It's just so much better. I mean, starting a company with somebody who has the same time preference as you, like that's key. Like, they have to be able to be to think the same way.
Yeah. Anyway, deep thoughts.
Yeah.
Swan Andy.
We went from like very technical explanation of how whales are short in the market to jokes about memes, back to deep thoughts.
Hey,
again, this actually has pretty much been a Swan marketing.
That's what these are for. I mean, we've said many times that we should just make our Swan marketing meetings live, for the sake of transparency. That's what
Isn't
this
this
is.
just the marketing team talking and coming up with ideas to educate people about Bitcoin and teasing things out? That's basically it.
Exactly.
With
All
that,
right. We got to wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to wrap up.
All right, I'll see you at the end.
Yeah.